A house full of kids. There's the bad kind like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! It's now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is you over 30 years ago.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
And this is your mom when you drive her back from therapy.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Roles change without us noticing, and in your new role, we help you help. AARP gives you the information to help care for your mom so that you can have patience with her, just like she did with you. Visit aarp.org/caregiving or call 1-877-333-5885 to get practical health and wellness tips to provide even better care for your loved one.
Are we there yet?
Remember, visit aarp.org/caregiving. AARP. We help you help. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes I'd do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're tuned into DC's DFS Challenge with Dan Mader and Chris Pinto. Live on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Hello, DC Nation. Welcome back to the Saturday Night Show. It is the DC's DFS Challenge Show on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, WWSRN, also presented to you by Belly Up Sports. As always, I'm your host, Dan Mader, joined here with my partner, Mr. Christopher Dowhower, coming fresh off of our episode yesterday, the MD's Fantasy Football Show that went from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. every single Friday, also on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Chris, how are you doing since yesterday afternoon?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm still not Chris Pinto, but I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, eventually we will get that updated to be continued. We got our big tournament like we always do every single week. Tomorrow, it's the 7 o'clock games like it normally is. We always go with the slot that's going to have the most games, and it always just seems to be the slot that's going to have the most games on Sunday. But it's only 4 games. So we're back down to where we were for most of the months of March, actually, where we had very few games to pick from, making it a little bit more challenging, make you have to be a little bit more creative when putting your lineups together. I actually wound up feeling pretty good about my lineup, but I'm curious first to see what you had. Before we get into that, though, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor of the day. It's called Symbol. Not Symbol, but Symbol. Simbull. It's where Wall Street meets sports gambling in this innovative app. Symbol brings the fun of being able to play for the long term by purchasing, selling, and trading stocks of your teams. When your teams win, you win a payout. When they lose, you don't lose money. The value of your team's shares is all that matters, and it's easy to use. Just download the Symbol app on your Play Store and use the promo code MDS Fantasy for a $10 deposit bonus of at least $10 or more. Join the fun of investing in your team for the long haul, where the sportsbook edge is put back into your hands as the player. For the latest and most fun in sports gambling, download Symbol. And again, use the promo code MDS Fantasy for $10 deposit bonus today. So, Chris, what did you notice about this week, Chris? What were some of the things you were looking for in these 4 matchups and these players you were looking at?
Well, first, let me say I was kind of excited because it's not just the 7 o'clock games. We got the 7, the 8, and the 10 o'clock game to choose from.
Yeah, I noticed that too. They threw like a few in there, like a few extras. Like it says 4. It says only 4 games, but it was like, oh, we got to pick from like the Sacramento Golden State game was one of them at like 10 o'clock, and a few of the other games like that. So it gave us a few more options than it normally would have, but it was still a small number of teams that we were picking from ultimately.
It's better than 2 teams though, so I was excited about that.
Yeah.
2 games, I should say. Yeah, so kicking it off, I think this is an absolute no-brainer. I mean, this guy's been in an absolute tear lately, and that's going with a point guard position at Russell Westbrook. I mean, he's a triple-double machine right now, kind of returning to his days at OKC all over again, coming off a 70-burger last time he came out with DFS-wise. I mean, I got to rock him. It was expensive. He's $11,000. I kind of toyed with playing Steph. Most expensive. I did toy with playing Steph, but Steph's coming off a little bit of a cold streak, I guess, say for me. Only talking like 40 DFS points, so so he's
totally a cold streak.
So I spent the extra $500, and I went Russell Westbrook in the point guard position. Trying to save some money though for that. Hold
on. Let me talk about that because not only is he on a hot streak, but the other reason I like that too is Sexton is going to be out with a concussion tomorrow. That's already been ruled out. So not only has Westbrook on a hot streak, but there's nobody who even has a body to remotely defend Westbrook heading into tomorrow's game. So that's why he very well could be worth the extra money that you're paying for on that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, it doesn't really seem to be the matter of the competition is. This guy's dropping like 60 to 70 DFS points almost every game right now. So you got to ride the hot hand.
Exactly.
So just kind of going off of that, trying to save some money to 2-guard position, I'm going with RJ Hampton. Hampton's been he's getting a little bit of playing time now in Orlando. Orlando's kind of one of those tanking teams. He's got about 20, 25 minutes the last couple of games. I'm not looking for something huge from him, but because he's playing a little bit more point guard position with Michael Carter-Williams out, I like his ability to kind of get some assists, drop some points, get a couple steals here or there. Maybe he gets hot, coming up with 25. I think 24, 25 points DFS last game. So I'm kind of riding him. I'm only spending about $4,000 for him so I think it's a pretty good price for a guy who plays both the point guard and 2-guard position for you.
Yeah, you got to find ways to save some money. That is one of the guys I actually had my eye on myself. Didn't quite go with him, but yeah, he's got the value at the $4,000 price where you're looking at that 20-25 fantasy point range if he's able to plug in the minutes, and that's all you kind of want from that price range to begin with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also wouldn't be surprised, they're playing New Orleans, so it's a game that should be relatively high scoring and not a lot of defense. And he's got a chance to play some of the three also in this game because how New Orleans kind of matches up. So he should be definitely get some playing time. Like I said, as long as he's knocking down some shots, getting some handling the ball a little bit, I hope to have a decent game out of him tomorrow. At the small forward position, I'm going to go with Kevin Huerter. Kevin Huerter's since Trae Young's been out, he's kind of stepped up his game tremendously. Now I was a little bit worried last game when Dino Gallinari came back, and wasn't sure how it was going to necessarily affect him, but it didn't really seem to mess up his his production too much. He didn't quite score as many points, but he still had about 40 DFS points. So you're looking for a guy who's handling the ball a lot right now. Had 5 steals last game, so that's kind of a pleasant surprise. A guy can rebound a little bit, get some assists, definitely can shoot some threes. So you got a lot of opportunity for him to get some points and kind of fill up the scoreboard for you.
He's a guy who can get hot. Plain and simple. He's a guy who can get hot. And with Trae Young out, he has an extra green light that he wouldn't normally have otherwise. And he's been taking advantage of it. I like that play quite a bit.
That needs how he's had the ball in his hands a lot more too.
Yeah.
He's been able to have, like I said, he's coming off, I think, 4 or 5 games with no less than 4 assists. So he's getting the opportunity to get some assists there for you as well. So I'm kind of excited about his play. And I think he can have a big game tomorrow as well. So then at the power forward position in that game, they're playing Milwaukee. Talking about riding hot hands, I'm going to go with Giannis. Giannis is, since he came back, I think he came off about 60 or 60-something, 65 DFS points last game. He hasn't been quite the beast he had been, last year. But this year, because they have more playmakers, he's not quite always getting the assists and always the ball in his hands as much. But this guy can rebound. We're not sure if Capella is going to play tomorrow or not for Atlanta. So I think he's got opportunity to at least get 10 to 12 rebounds in his sleep. So I'm hoping even for more than that. Hopefully maybe 15 to 20 rebound range, getting his 30 points, getting his assists, getting his blocks. So I'm going with Giannis. He was with second most expensive player, but I think that with him and Westbrook, they're 2 guys. I'm just going to try to ride the hot hands right now.
We both have Giannis in our lineup, and the last game out, he had 62 fantasy points against the Sixers. Tonight, he only played 24 minutes. He had 58 fantasy points because they just absolutely just mopped the floor with the Sixers earlier today. Yeah, this is going to be a great play. I have him as well in my lineup. I have him at center, so I can open up the rest of the floor as well. $10,700. It's hard to go wrong with a guy who's going to have a floor of about 50-plus fantasy points at the moment.
Absolutely. And I'm happy he only played 24 minutes. It means he's probably going to get some more time tomorrow. So I like that as well.
Exactly. So you kind of worry about that sometimes in the back-to-back. I'm not going to be as worried about that anymore. So it's that, and then it's also the combination of you're going into this tournament. You got to have the guys who are going to score the most points in your team, even if that means having to pay up for them. We talk about this all the time, and it's a lesson that I will harp on every single week. Giannis is one of those guys in this type of tournament with these select few games. You have to find ways to plug around them because you need those guys if you want to have any chance to win a free DC's DFS tournament challenge that is in the link in the description for you guys to click on below wherever you're watching this on social media, on YouTube. It's in the comments section. Click it. It's free to play. And if you win, you'll be eligible to have your name in the drawing, which will be not next week because we won't be back next week, but the week after when we come back, we'll have the free drawing for the April giveaway for championshipfootballs.com by Mr. Chaz Filardi, who'll be on later on today's show. So it's absolutely free. Make sure you hit that link. That's why we're talking about this tournament. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, sure. It's a great prize, so you guys should definitely get into this. It's free. You can't beat that.
Exactly.
So at the center position, you could flip flop him and Giannis if you wanted to, depending on how you wanted to go. But I went with Juan Toscano Anderson from Golden State. As I think of him as my mini Draymond. This guy kind of gets doesn't really score a lot of points, but he gets rebounds, he gets steals, he gets assists. He kind of is a point forward a lot of times when he's out there. But Kate Bazemore out injured. He's been getting more playing time. And I think the matchup kind of fits him better than Kevin Looney tomorrow, where I think that you might see Sacramento play a little bit more small ball and so he's got an opportunity to kind of play something in 3, 4, and a 5. So I'm kind of going with him, relatively cheap, only $4,000. So a guy who I think had about 24 points, DFS points last game, had like 9 rebounds, 9 points, 8 rebounds, like 6 assists. So like I said, a guy who can kind of like my mini Draymond, can kind of do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, to your point, I see no reason why they're not going to play small ball tomorrow. It's still to be determined if they're even going to have Holmes back or not for that game. He's going to be a game time decision. So there's a real chance he's going to get to continue his role for yet another week, or another game, I should say.
Yeah, and I mean, look at Sacramento, even though Holmes wasn't quite back, Whiteside only played 13 minutes last game, so you're not really worried about him necessarily them going big against you too much.
No, especially not against Golden State.
So at my guard position, I also am kind of riding that Atlanta game a little bit, and the fact that Trae Young's not playing. I got Brandon Godwin going there, or Goodwin, I should say. Goodwin's coming. He's not a guy who's going to necessarily out of the scoreboard, but he can get you 15 points. He's going to have the ball in his hands a lot more than he's had 5 or 6 assists, and a guy who actually can play some defense. In that game, like I said, I think it's expected to be kind of a relatively high-scoring game. He's also a player that's younger guy, so even the game gets kind of out of hand, he's not going to necessarily get pulled out of the game. And I like that he's able to kind of, has been out there the last few games and producing. He had, I think he had 17 points the game before, shooting wise, scoring wise, and I just think overall, nice cheap value. Nice good value for $4,200, and a guy who I think has some upside tomorrow.
I like that one too. What I'm really happy about is that while we both picked on this game, we did not pick on the same players in this Atlanta game. So it's gonna be really interesting when I get to go back around on my turn too. Go ahead.
I'm gonna guess you probably have Lou Williams in yours. So at my forward position, talking about riding hot hands, I'm going with O'Shea Brissett. Now a lot of people don't know who this guy is, but he just dropped to 51 points in DFS the other day.
Sleeper of the weekend. I can't believe he's still priced at $4,800 after what he just dropped.
Well, I think because you see a guy who hasn't been on really the fantasy radar for most of the season and basically played, almost 40 minutes. I think it was last game, because
42.
Right now 42 minutes. Yeah, Indiana was just destroyed with injuries. You got Miles Turner hurt. You got Sabonis hurt. Even their backup center was hurt. Or I think it was Brisdale or Fernando was also hurt too. So basically, they had no opportunity but to play him. But he's coming off back-to-back decent games. He played 25 minutes the game before and had some, had a decent DFS production. I think he had about 27 DFS points as it
25.
was. 25. So yeah. So I mean, this guy's like, you got a floor there. You kind of see him play there. Maybe he doesn't get all the minutes you're kind of hoping for, but if he does get the minutes, he's showing production. And he's playing tonight right now, and he's been playing pretty decent watching the game in the background earlier. I think that this is a guy that I'm going to try to ride the hot hand with.
Sabonis is already ruled out for tomorrow as well. So he's definitely going to be in position where he is going to get minutes. And this is a guy who can be a double-double because he's very good at rebounding. And if he continues to do that, he kind of plays like the Enes Kanter role. He just gets all these putbacks. And as a result of that, he's a fantasy gold mine when you're talking about a guy who might be playing plus 35 minutes in a particular ball game right now.
Well, one of the cool things about him watching him play is he's able to put the ball on the feet on the court.
Yeah, he has.
And he can he can take it all out of big guys off the dribble. So I think that's something we kind of seen him able to get fouls, able to get to the basket. I like that guy. I like that matchup a lot. Then finally at my utility position, I'm going with Raul Nato. I mean, right now, when you look at the Wizards, what they're doing, they're playing a lot of 3 guards. He's been starting the last couple of games. Westbrook and Beal get predominantly most of the production, but this guy's quietly just knocking down, jump shots, scoring 15 to 18 points on jumpers, and then get some assists for you as well. Plus, he's a de facto backup point guard for them as well. So he got a guy who's coming off some decent, DFS production, and is a guy who has some upside. And that's a game, like I said, if the game gets out of hand, he's not a guy who will necessarily go away. So all the guys out there that, when the games might not be as competitive as we hope they can be, sometimes these guys, get worried about, Giannis earlier about getting pulled out of a game. This guy's not a guy who they're going to pull out and then he kind of stretches the means. And with right now how Washington's kind of rolling, he's got a nice little niche going for him.
Well, and again, you're going back to that Cleveland game where the sky's the limit as far as all these guys are concerned. It's a good team.
Absolutely.
It's a solid team. A team with a lot of upside.
And like you said, with no Sexton tomorrow, he's got a pretty decent matchup as well.
Yeah, and if they run the risk, Washington has a chance here. They could blow them out, and therefore Nato will play that much more if that winds up being the case. So it's a good little mix you're going for there. I like the team. There's a lot of upside. Obviously, there's risk, but you're not going to win tournaments without having risk in these NBA DFS lineups, especially when you're not playing head-to-head. You're playing these big tournaments like that. All right. Well, I guess we can get into mine now. And I kick things off with Steph Curry because his cold streak, laughable cold streak. First of all, he got right back on scoring over 32 points in the last game anyway. But against Sacramento, if you don't think with the way Steph Curry's been playing right now, he's not going to drop plus 30 points on the floor, you're out of your mind. And his lowest fantasy total was that Washington game where they have guys like Russell Westbrook. They have guys who can play defense on him. They don't have anybody who can play defense on him against Sacramento. Nobody. So I'm going with the guy who's going to probably drop me about 60 fantasy points in this game. And I save a little bit from what you spent on Russell Westbrook, which is what I feel like also allowed me to put in Giannis, but also allowed me to put in a pretty solid lineup. Guys in certain situations that I don't think I would have been able to plug in otherwise. Now, we'll get to that in a minute. Next guy, you mentioned him already, Lou Williams. $4,600, going with him there. I don't know if it's going to be this game, but I do think Lou Williams is going to take over sooner rather than later as the main guy while Trae Young is out. And we'll see how much longer Trae Young is going to be out for. But the great thing about Lou Williams is that he can get hot. And even though this is a guy that over the last 4 games, 20, 24, 24, 21, as far as his minutes go, he can still plug you 20, 27 fantasy points. At $4,600, that's all I need you to do. Again, $4,600. I just need to get 20 to 25. If you can get me 30, great. Catch fire, great. And this is a game that could be very, very high scoring as a result. So I'm going to roll the dice. That's going to be Lou Williams getting hot because we know he can. And he has been when he's been coming off the bench for Trae Young since he's gotten to the Atlanta Hawks to begin with. Why the Clippers got rid of him, I don't know. But I'm going to ride him against Milwaukee.
Playoff Rondo, that's why.
Next guy I went with Dwayne Bacon. He's been getting more minutes again. As this is a guy that we've plugged in our lineups throughout the season. We have to pick our spots though with this guy because he does a little bit of everything. Because he has the ability to get hot from scoring. He's an intriguing DFS option because he's never more than $4,500, which is what he is this week. But again, in a situation with the way Orlando's banged up at the moment, he's back to being able to plug close to that 30-minute mark again. So that's where I'm going to roll the dice because this is a guy who has a ceiling of 35 fantasy points. He also probably has the lowest floor of anybody in my lineup, but he does have that ability. So I'm taking the chance there with Dwayne Bacon. What do you think for that game against Indiana?
I think you make a good point about Dwayne Bacon. He's definitely getting the minutes. He definitely has opportunity. He's a little bit streaky. You kind of need him to score. He's a guy who has to score. He doesn't really do too many things else. So hopefully, the game does match up well for him playing New Orleans. It should be a high-paced, up-and-down game, and he has opportunity. She should be able to get his. I always have concerns with him because he doesn't always seem to shoot his balls consistently. Some games he'll get up 17 shots, and other games he'll get like 5. So that's one of the things you're kind of worried about in the sense. But I know you like to play the guys the minutes, and his minutes have been there.
Yeah, and that minutes and good matchups is what I'm looking for at the end of the day in these value plays. Same thing goes with another guy on the Wizards, Davis Bertans. I'm kind of liking that he didn't have a huge game against Oklahoma City. Before that, 30 fantasy points, 27 fantasy points, $5,100 this guy is right now in a yet again minutes good matchup against Cleveland here. I'm rolling the dice on that. I'm rolling the dice that Davis Bertans is going to get his opportunities to be able to score in this ball game.
I think that's a great play. I mean, I had him in my lineup initially. I tried to figure out how to get Kevin Porter in my lineup instead, but I can't hate on the David Bertans play at all. This guy knocks down corner 3 after corner 3. He can get you some rebounds, and with their front court banged up the way it is, he's definitely going to get some run out there.
My center position again was Giannis. I'm depending on Curry and Giannis together to build up my ceiling, which will hopefully have me win again because I won again last week, guys. I won again last week. So there's 2 spots now for charity in April. And one goes to Mickey Katz 12, who won the week before. And now there's 2 spots for charity. So you guys come on, you got to beat the host to get your opportunity here, guys. I want to see you guys beat us. It's why we share our lineup cards, not just to find you value for other tournaments that you might be out there, but to give you a chance here. Come on, you know exactly what we're going to play. You know exactly what we're going to do. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
And those footballs.
Yes, and those footballs. The next guy, my guard position, this was my cheapest player at $3,800. And he's, for a lack of availability on the Indiana Pacers, has been the starting lineup, expect to be in the starting lineup again tomorrow. Edmund Summer. Going with him. This is the guy who's going to do a little bit of everything. Now, whether he does a little bit of everything enough where he gets to a high fantasy ceiling, we'll see. But, again, $3,800 over the last 3 games, 26, 21, 16 fantasy points. So this guy has the range that I'm looking for. When I'm looking for these sleepers, I'm looking for 20 to 25 fantasy points because that'll establish the floor for my top guys to be able to go off. That's what he's been able to do as of late. 25, 23, 28. That's the last 3 that he's had of minutes. The minutes have been there. Again, like I said, he's expected to start tomorrow against Orlando. If he's going to have the opportunity to get you that range, it's in that matchup.
This guy had a nice game tonight too. I mean, he had 17 points in the first half. So
did he? I didn't even know that. I didn't get a chance to turn on that game. So make me feel even better about that sneaky little play tomorrow.
He came out hot. So yeah, looking good.
I'll take that. Of course, my extra 4 position. We both have the same guy, Brissett. He's again sleeper of the weekend. Can't miss at $4,800 after establishing. He has a superstar ceiling, apparently, right now with the minutes that he's been able to plug, and he can get a double-double and put up 51 fantasy points. You're not going to find that for that price tag with a guy who is going to play quite a bit. Again, Sabonis is definitely out. We'll see about the rest of the Indiana Pacers, but we already know that means he's locked in for at least 25 to 30 minutes alone right there, if not more, if more people are going to miss.
Well, Turner's out, and Turner's going long-term out too. So Sabonis is out, then Turner's also out. So he's definitely going to get some time.
So then Brissett's a free space. That's what he is. He's a free space no matter what tournament, no matter how you're playing, head-to-head, whatever the case may be. He's a free space. You have to have him in your lineup. Last but not least, I went with Gallinari. Like I said, Chris, we went to that game, but we did not pick the same players, which I thought was very, very interesting. Gallinari, $5,900. And I'm depending on him to be my icing on the cake. This is the guy I'm looking for to take my team over the top. I've established the floor. I have the 2 superstars that you have to pay up for, which is already going to put me at a bit of an advantage because it'll be a bit of a contrarian play. Not most people are not going to have both Steph and Giannis in their lineups because they're not going to feel as confident about what they're able to build around that. So as a result, Gallinari, with his ability to score, is going to be the key. He just came back on the 23rd, I believe it was, against the Heat. He only plugged 22 minutes, but in 22 minutes, he had 26 fantasy points. This game, they're expecting him to play closer to 30 minutes, maybe even a little bit more, depending upon if they need him or not. If that is the case, I am counting on him getting 5 to 8 boards, plus 20 points, a couple of 3-pointers. I'm depending on that performance. I'm putting on a plus 30 fantasy performance. I like him for a lot in this game against Milwaukee. He's going to be the key, I believe, to my lineup.
Yeah, I love Gallo. I mean, he's definitely, since he came off his injury, has been a nice little run previous to coming back most recently. And I think that when you look at him, this is a guy that, with how Milwaukee kind of matches up with him and the questions around Capella, he might play some 5 tomorrow as well. So he's going to probably get his minutes and the opportunity to get those rebounds you're talking about. And this guy can flat out score. One of the more underrated plays there is, I think, out there. Week in, week out, this guy's dropping 15 to 20 points is easy. It's getting out of bed. So I think there's some guy you have to definitely have in your lineup. And he said that he definitely has some upside opportunity tomorrow.
Again, look at the link. Look for the link. It's in the comments. Wherever you're watching this, hit it up. It's a free contest. Absolutely free contest. We use this to try to get you guys some value for anywhere else you might be looking for, but we also like to, give back to the fans, give back to DC Nation.
Got great
That's
prizes.
What we like to do. Say that again.
So we got a great prize. I mean,
yeah, the championshipfootballs.com, which Chaz is going to come on here in a few more minutes and talk about. You really can't beat it, especially for free. But you really can't beat it. And we'll continue this on. Like I said, we're not going to be here next week. Chris and I, in case you haven't heard, I can't believe you wouldn't have by now, but in case you haven't heard, we're going to be hosting 2 nights of the NFL draft coverage. Thursday night, the first round. Friday night, the second and third round. Commercial free, streaming the entire time. All your social medias, YouTube, everywhere. At Belly Up MD FF Show, at Belly Up Fantasy. We'll be on both of those going back and forth. You guys won't be able to miss it. So we're going to be doing a lot of work. That's why the MD's Fantasy Football Show is going to take a week hiatus. The DC Show is going to take a hiatus. Now, the tournament will not. So we will post the tournament Saturday night. The tournament will still be on. You will still be able to get, in and participating on the first week of May to try to win. And then that'll put you in the drawing at the end of the month to be eligible for that prize. That's how we do it. We get the monthly winners, and then we do a drawing at the end of the month. We just won't be announcing the April winner until we come back on the show on the second week of May. That's the only difference between that. So you'll have to wait an extra week for us to announce the April winner. And hopefully it'll be more than just me versus Mickey Katz. We'll see exactly what happens. What we're going to do now, though, is we'll take a quick break, come back on the other side. We got Mr. Chaz Filardi in the waiting room, so we'll talk to him about his best bets for the weekend. Keep listening to the DC's DFS Challenge Show on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, WWSRN, also presented to you by Belly Up Sports.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind, like season-ending drama, like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! It's now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is you over 30 years ago.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
And this is your mom when you drive her back from therapy.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Roles change without us noticing, and in your new role, we help you help. AARP gives you the information to help care for your mom so that you can have patience with her, just like she did with you. Visit aarp.org/caregiving or call 1-877-333-5885 to get practical health and wellness tips to provide even better care for your loved one.
Are we there yet?
Remember, visit aarp.org/caregiving. AARP, we help you help. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is DC's DFS Challenge on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Hi, this is Terry.
Welcome back in, DC Nation, to the show. You are listening to DC's DFS Challenge on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, WWSRN, also presented to you by Belly Up Sports. As always, I'm your host, Dan Maynard, joined here with Chris Dalhauer, and now for the man of the hour, as always on this show, is Mr. Chaz Filardi. Chaz, how are you?
I'm tired. But I will explain why. I had a pretty lady stick a second needle in my arm. I had previously received the needle. Might have been the same girl. I couldn't pick her out of a lineup. She was wearing a mask. However, the second shot has tired me out dramatically today. I'm really tired. This is as sober as you'll ever see me on a Saturday. So I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I appreciate you still coming on the show anyway. I have to say, I got the second shot myself, and I was actually wiped out for, I would say, about 2 days. So it's impressive to see you even on camera here, frankly, this quickly afterwards.
I'm starting to use my second hand to count how many naps I've had today. let's not pump me up too quick. But I will tell you that I was going to tell you guys that Colorado has only scored 1 run. And so I just hopped on them again for the game, for the team total over. But while I was listening to the guy flex his pectorals, they hit a 2-run jack. They scored 4 runs. I just cashed 3 tickets on 1 swing of the bat. And that's what I wanted to mention. The team totals in baseball, they really – remember, guys, I don't look at sports betting as simply just, how much I bet, how much I win. I try to make you a better bettor. And the way I do that is – if you won $100 and you weren't stressed and he won $100 and he's throwing things and swearing, really, $100 is better. They're not equal. They are not equal. And the stress-free betting is real important. And team totals can do that for you. I had one last night in the 9th inning. And actually today was my 6 bets a game special that I gave out to everybody. It was the Atlanta game that got rained out, of course, right? I must have 30 minutes after I gave it out. And what that is when I like it, not only do I like the over, so I have the over in the first 5 inning over, but both team totals over for the first 5 innings, both team totals over for the game. And I won the Seattle one in the 2nd inning. I won both bets. When you can win both bets in the 2nd inning, it allows you to say, move on, man. What else are you going to do? Unless, guys, you want to do live action and you keep chipping at it. And that's how we'll win 7 or 8 bets in a game. But I'm really, like I said, I'm not 100% today. I have no other symptoms except that I'm pulling a train. Holy cow, am I tired?
Well, that's what happened to me too. I didn't have a headache. I didn't have a cough. I didn't feel like the flu. I just felt tired. Just that was it. So probably just something like that. But it's good to know that we're headed in the right direction. And hopefully this will start opening things up for all of us as we all get vaccinated. It's very important that as many people get vaccinated as possible. So please do that when you get the chance. Before
Saturday I will be at a casino for the Derby. So yeah, I definitely wanted to up my chances of surviving. I'm normally surviving Derby day is hard anyway, but that has nothing to do with the virus.
Yeah, and this will give you an extra peace of mind. So that's the nice thing about that as well. Before we get into some more of our bets for tonight, I want to let you guys know this segment is brought to you by Monkey Knife Fight. They are a daily fantasy sports gaming website with a number of unique ways to win money on your favorite sports and players. It's a mix of daily fantasy and prop games. Download the app or go to monkeyknifefight.com with the promo code BELLYUP for a $1-to-$1 match on your deposit of up to $100. Used to be $50. Now it is $100. That's potentially an instant $100 free dollars for you to play today when you're using the promo code BELLYUP when you sign up at monkeyknifefight.com. Chaz just got done talking about how much nicer it is to bet with a free $100. So you can go ahead and take advantage of that just by using the promo code BELLYUP. So please do that.
I have had some great experiences over the years. And Tommy does too. He's told some great stories where if they're going to give you free play and you're going to take it anyway. The only issue really with free play is always what's it do to change the rollover, which means, you got to leave it in there a lot longer. But if you're not taking it out anyway, it's free money. And we have had times where we've taken that free play and kicked it up a notch and turned, which really is not, it's zero money. It's $100 free play. It's not real money to you. You can't do anything with it. But if the next thing you know, you got it up to $400 or $500, guess what? You sit around and wait till they say it's okay. You can withdraw it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's usually if you hit that bet. I know with Monkey Knife Fight, this is the case, and with some of the other sports books I've used over the years, if you hit that first bet, they'll usually just let you take everything out after that. So that is kind of the one nice thing there. I was actually on Chris, I don't know if you know this. I was on Chaz's show this past Thursday night there, invited me on for the last half hour to talk some NFL draft, and I get to see how he works. And let me tell you, Sports Betting Weekly on Thursday nights on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network is a lot of fun to sit back and watch, because you got Chaz, who he gets to be the guy who's in my seat right now. And you get to watch him jump from game to game. You can see his eyes. You can see his eyes on the television screen. He's like, we got to move the hockey. Now we got to move the NBA. We got to hit the baseball game. He's all over the board. He does it beautifully too, I have to say.
Well, they give us winners. So I mean, Wes was at an award ceremony. Blackhawk Wes was at an award ceremony. He won an award for helping the community. He's an executive chef, and he works with a high school that has a culinary program. So he was there, and he still texted in a winner. Honey, I love that dedication.
That's how you know you're always getting some great bets. Before we get into
look at you. You said don't bet the Lakers the first game, bet the Lakers the second game. That's basically what you said Thursday night.
Yeah, and wound up working out pretty well.
Yeah.
You can't bet. I know everyone's going to want to jump on that first game Anthony Davis comes back. And that's exactly the wrong thing to do, because he's not going to play that much the first game he comes back. But the second one gets his legs a little bit wet. They have an easier matchup. Lakers take care of business. Bada boom, bada bing. There you go.
Yep.
So I do want to get to Chris here, because my big game for tomorrow that I'm going to be betting heavy on is the Phoenix-Brooklyn game. That game's at 3:30. As of right now, it's Brooklyn minus 2.5. It's in Brooklyn. I'm taking Phoenix to win outright. There's no Harden, no KD. Phoenix has been playing great team defense ball. It's on the road, which is why I think it's the only real reason why Brooklyn is favored in that game at all, quite frankly. I'm loving Phoenix outright in that matchup.
I think that's a good play there. Let's talk about Chris Paul, just how he's basically just took that team into a true playoff contender. And I think they are going to travel well and see them in Brooklyn. I think that's a great bet. Brooklyn, like you said, is hurting right now. Their front court's kind of beat up. I love DeAndre Ayton versus Blake Griffin matchup. I think you're going to see a lot of big guys be able to eat in there. Chris Paul's going to attack the basket at will. It's going to be, can they outscore Kyrie? And I think that's not going to be a problem.
No, not at all. It's easy to outscore one man. The other thing I want to talk about too, can Chris Paul get some respect? With LeBron having been down, Joel Embiid missing games, Chris Paul deserves the MVP. Look at what he did just by his presence alone in Phoenix. All of a sudden, this is a team that wasn't sniffing the playoffs for, 2 decades now, is right there in the thick of it with the top teams. And the young players, especially Booker, the way they've developed because of Chris Paul coming to that team, the way they have playing team basketball. I know he's older, and I know he doesn't have the big gaudy stats of some of the other players, but it's the MVP award. Tell me who's more valuable to their team this season than Chris Paul and the Phoenix Suns.
I mean, he's got to be in the discussion. And look at last year. OKC was a playoff team last year. This man's a winner. He needs to get his just due regardless. I mean, I think he got a bum rap in Houston, and James Harden didn't win crap without him, so we can't blame it all on Chris Paul. And I think
am I correct in remembering that they were going to win it all and he got hurt? They had the best team.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Basically, they had Golden State down.
Yeah, and he got hurt. I remember that. Was that a couple of years now?
About 3 or 4 years ago now.
Yeah. They had Golden State with KD and Steph and Clay and Draymond on the ropes until Chris Paul went down.
Yeah.
That's the big difference. But and everyone keeps counting him out. He's got the Tom Brady effect, where it's like he's got fatherhood time's got to catch up to him at some point, and it just doesn't, because he's such a smart ball player. But he just does not get enough credit. And the fact that he's not in the top 3 in the MVP discussion is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, especially when looking at what Phoenix is putting themselves in a place right now. But again, big reason why I love them to win this game outright tomorrow. I got some more games we'll get into, but I kind of want to see what Chaz has to say for tonight or tomorrow, whatever you got, man.
Well, remember, right now I'm spending hours, and I got up and I did it this morning. I got up and I put in every single baseball line from yesterday, and it was brutal. That was my first nap. Then I went back to sleep. Then I had nothing. My wife's actually out of town, so I had to go grocery shop, and I needed a few things. So I went grocery shopping, and then I took another nap. Then I handicapped the games. because they started at 10. So I was up really early. So I'm probably gonna do the same thing tomorrow that I did today, which I have people that send me their plays, and they don't just say, "Hey, I like this." They send me, bet this because this, which is those whys. We talk about whys all the time. That's why I love what you guys say, because your guys' whys are on a fantasy level. They're on a personnel level. And when you're talking one guy out of 5 starters, well, yeah, that's 20%. You don't need to be a mathematician to know 1 out of 5 is 20%. And that is really, think about it. There's no other sport where if you bet and you don't know and you look and that guy's in civvies on this, that's got to be a brutal feeling, right? To see your favorite player that you're betting because you like the team and and then he's not playing.
It's one of the reasons I like betting the NBA so much, because it is kind of more up my alley to begin with, where it is more player fantasy driven, where if you have certain key players, 1 or 2, it's going to completely sway the game in a different direction. I think it's why I do well betting the NBA. I do well betting the NFL too, but I think it's why I do really well betting the NBA comparatively to hockey or baseball.
Let me ask you both. I'll ask you both a handicapping question. And I will start with Chris. So, Chris, when do you look? And we talked about the time, like 45 minutes before the game, like for tip-offs. But where do you look? Where's your favorite source for who's going to be on the team? Who's going to tip off?
I mean, for me, I'm checking everywhere. Honestly, I have different links I use. I know I use Belly Up to kind of remind me. I go through their lineups. I go through ESPN. I pretty much try to check anything I can get my hands on, because I know a lot of times different sources have different things. I know Dan has his tweets. He's always on top of what injuries are going down, so he's always tweeting as well. So he's quite often actually ahead of a lot of the guys out there. So I'm always following somebody to try to find out as fast as I can and as much as I can.
Well,
yeah, I appreciate that, Chris.
Well, sometimes the book is your best source, because what'll happen is, like today with the Oriole game, the book had the pitcher listed. There was a to be determined until this morning, and then the book had it listed before MLB.com was showing me. So I would imagine if a guy's out, right, the line's going to move.
Well, that's actually for baseball. That's happened a couple times already this season. See, for me, if you follow at Belly Up Fantasy or if you follow at Belly Up MDFF Show, I have all throughout the day, I have player news notifications going out. And basically what I'm doing is following every single not just source, but every single person who's covering any of these games or outlets. And I'm following the sports books too. And I've noticed that with baseball, especially, the quickest sports book I've seen, it's OddsShark as far as the news coming out, where they've been able to kind of post it pretty quickly on the pitchers. So if you're looking for an edge, I would recommend them as far as that goes, or following us, whatever the case may be. But yeah, in order to have the real edge on top of people, you got to be willing to follow a bunch of people or follow us or a particular sports book that actually consistently is getting out there first.
Yeah, because
not all of them do. Some of them are a little bit. Some of the sport books are a little bit behind the other ones, so it is kind of, gotta make sure you kind of check everything.
No, they really, every single sports book has its good spots, usually some good spots, and then some bad spots. I have one of my favorite ones. They grade so slow that I don't normally complain, but I complain. They say, we're not talking slow. It's the bottom of the 7th, and I'm waiting to catch my first 5 inning bet here, And so you really have to take them with a grain of salt.
Well, that's why I always suggest, try different ones. I don't know anybody like us, at least, who actually only plays one sports book. First of all, there's a bunch of benefits that you can get from different bonuses, like we talk about Monkey Knife Fight and stuff like that on this show. Promo code BELLYUP for $100 deposit bonus. And then there's also, you try out different ones and find out, like, hey, Chaz, I know you play one that has open parlays. That's something you don't find a lot in a lot of places.
No, you're absolutely right. And first smaller portions of the game, whether it's the first 5 innings or first quarters in college football, whatever the case may be, you really, if you're going to bet, and I'm sitting here in California, guys, I got a couple more years of having to deal with this because it ain't going to be legal out here anytime soon. That aspect of it stinks, but a lot of times the phone gives you more options than the book does.
That's a good point as well. All right, Chris, I got another game for you. And you should be pretty familiar with this one because we got quite a few of our DraftKings players were from this game. If you guys checked out the first half hour, if you missed it at all for the DC's DFS Challenge tournament aspect of the show where we shared our DraftKings lineup cards, make sure you go back and check it out on your favorite streaming app, Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever. We're on all the major platforms, or go back and check it out again on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network social platforms. There you can rewatch this entire show. We had a lot of guys in the Washington-Cleveland game. Washington is -6 in Washington. I am hopping all over Washington to cover this. I don't see Cleveland keeping it within 6 points. Not without Sexton.
I was going to say, with the Sexton injury, I think that's a great bet. I think it was kind of a pick 'em with if he's going to play or not. But if he's not playing, Cleveland doesn't have the scoring power to keep up with Washington tomorrow. And the matchups that we talked about are, definitely in Washington's favor. Westbrook doesn't really have anybody to guard him. Beal doesn't really have anybody to guard him. I like that play a lot.
Well, that's the thing. Beal, Westbrook are on hot streaks right now. Bertans is back. He's been shooting the ball well. They're actually full systems go as far as their offense is capable of. And Cleveland's already a team that struggles to score even with Sexton on the court. So and for me,
I was gonna say, and Washington has something actually to play for. They're within that 10. They're in striking distance to get in that play-in tournament. Cleveland's pretty much getting down ready to do the shutdown mode. So I think there's not a whole lot for them to necessarily go out and try to win that one for the Gipper tomorrow.
I think it's a big reason why you've seen Westbrook suddenly get on this hot streak is because suddenly they found themselves in the point where they might be able to play their way into those play-in games and actually have a legitimate shot to get into the playoffs. This is a different Washington team than it was a month ago. Plain and simple.
Absolutely.
So
since April 7th, they played 10 games. So I said it's April 24th. So in 17 days, they played 10 games. They lost once to Phoenix, who's pretty good. Right. And listen to these numbers: 129, 118, 119, 121, 117, 123, 125. In their last 7 games, if that's not screaming, if you like them, you got to sprinkle sun on that team total, too.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Hey, Chaz, it brings up a good point. Where do you get your data, sir?
Well, I pay Don Best. So I have a paid service with Don Best where I can get anything. And actually, it's ironic you mentioned that. Just this week, I printed out the tutorials. They have got like 12 tutorials. I've been using this fancy sports betting software that I pay a lot of money every day for. And I've been basically using it as a library to just get the past lines. But it covers every sport. And for me, it allows me then to see other things. It's great for injuries, but it's not a freebie. When I go free, I go to Covers. Covers is the class. Covers is a little behind. And we had this on one of the shows. I was looking at Covers because it doesn't have the volume. If I go to ESPN, it might just start playing a video. And then you hear the video sound on the show. And they were a little behind. And it was a bummer because I was going to bet the second period over in a hockey game. And by the time I got to the real site, they had scored, which happens. But if you're playing, if you bet every week and you're a bigger than a $20 player, you should really look at Don Best. Now there's some other ones out there as well. I've just been using them a long time. I like them.
Awesome. Yeah, Chaz always has great insight as far as where to get data, but then also where to apply it as well. I always kind of look to him for that. All right, Chris, ready for another one?
I want to ask Chaz a quick question. If that's
sure.
Okay. Chaz, you came on talking about the Rockies. Betting on they only had one run, and you got your tickets off that one swing of the bat. Do you kind of really consider where teams are? I know we're talking about whether games in Washington or not for basketball. In baseball, do you really take that in consideration where they're playing?
Oh yeah, I have 4 reports from my Easy Sports data. Overall, a matchup means home or away, so it's just going to show the record for Colorado at home. And then I do the pitcher one, and that's actually the second thing. I got 3 things I want to talk about. We already covered the team totals. The pitchers. This is the time of year, guys, where you can find pitchers that are about to go on a tear. You know the guy that's 13-3 at the All-Star break? Yeah. Well, you can cash and be 13-3 with them. And a lot of times you can win more bets than really 13-3 because they don't always get the decision. And sometimes they'll lose. Those 3 losses will be after the first 5 innings, which you've already cashed. So a guy that goes 13-3, you honestly could be, 25-4 betting on him by the All-Star break. So this is the time of year, guys, that don't just look at the team Also look at the pitchers. So those 4 reports, that's what I do, Chris. I start with, okay, what's jumping out at me? A team that's not scoring, like the Dodgers. We talked about that Thursday night on the show. Dan, with they haven't scored 2 runs. Right. And what did they do? Now the Padres taken 3 in a row from them, and Tatis hit another blast tonight. So I'll be betting. I'm working on. I do their team total under, and it really changes again the way how you do it. But what that first night they were switching from playing in San Diego to L.A. I looked at their home mark, but that, Chris, was like from a week ago, and that's the one thing you got to pay attention. What days they travel. And it's the funny thing is Vicky helps me with my data because she's an executive secretary. So she's pretty good with putting the numbers in. She don't know how to read them, but she knows all the pitchers now. And she made a comment to me at breakfast about who was pitching for somebody. I fell in love all over again. Whose wife knows who's pitching for a team that's not? No, it wasn't the Padres. It was somebody else.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
So while I'm talking, third thing, Derby.
Sure.
Okay. We don't have a show next week. You and I won't talk. But I'll have Derby stuff for when I visit you on the draft special. Okay. I will have Derby stuff Thursday night because I will do it Tuesday and Wednesday. I will get all my data in. And you can do that with the horses. I don't really let post position impact me as much. And with these horses, actually, I don't even let the workouts impact me that much because these horses are all worth a lot of zeros after their commas, so they don't really kill them in workouts. So, and remember, I've got Derby data. You mentioned my data. I get Derby data since 2007. The last 5 years I looked at real quickly before our show. I've had the winner every single year except when Maximum Security got disqualified. So that didn't count. I've hit the exacta twice. I've hit the trifecta once. And the other 2, I got beat by bombs in the second spot. And that's really what you're looking at Derby Day. You're looking to find a horse that has nothing to do with the Derby. Nobody will ever remember his name, but you'll catch a big-ass superfecta.
Nice. Oh, I'm glad you're going to have that for Thursday. I mean, a nice little addition, which, by the way, again, guys, make sure you check it out. Thursday night is going to kick it off. The Belly Up Sports' MDs and BUFL's NFL draft coverage. We're going to be talking about pick-by-pick betting, which Chaz has told me he's very excited to do because he's never done it before, and he's very excited, looking forward to that, giving some advice on that. We'll have fantasy analysis, we'll have football analysis. We're going to have over 50 different guests between Thursday night and Friday night at Belly Up Fantasy, at Belly Up MDFF Show, on YouTube. It's going to be everywhere, guys, so make sure you check that out. Again, it's going to be our big event of the week. That's why we're not doing the DC show. It's why we're not doing the MD show, because we're saving it, and all of our preparation is going towards our draft
after
coverage.
Your visit and talking like that, both of my guys hit me up this week and said they will have some stuff for me as well, because that's the beauty of Sports Betting Weekly. It's not about, I mean, don't get me wrong, I handle my own. I can talk sports betting with anybody, but some of these guys are very, very good, and they're very, very sport specific. And if somebody's been doing the draft, like you mentioned, Dan, you've been doing it for a few years now, well, the bottom line is I'm going to listen.
Absolutely, 100%. We will, if we don't have the answer, we will find somebody who does have the answer. That's the whole point of all of these shows. All right, Chris, ready for my third game?
I'm ready.
Golden State -10. I'm taking Sacramento to cover. I don't think they get beat by 10. I really don't. I think they have the ability to get just as hot with Golden State and for more direction than Golden State necessarily does as well. What do you think about that?
I absolutely take that bet. I mean, Golden State has been winning. Steph's been playing out of his mind, but they're not blowing anybody. They're not blowing anybody out. So I love that game. And the Kings can score. So I'm guessing they're kind of knocking this Fox is going to be out, but I still don't think that necessarily deters the Kings from getting blown out. They have still got decent point guard play. They still have the scoring potential to keep up with Golden State. Yeah, I like that bet a lot. That's probably my favorite of all three of them, actually.
Fox being out is the only reason I could come up with why that was such a large point spread. Your point, that's why I said Sacramento, they have the ability to score from multiple places throughout that lineup. I don't believe they're going to get blown out by 10. I really, really don't. Will they lose that game? I would suspect they would, especially with the way Steph Curry's been playing lately. But I really don't expect it to be a blowout. And when I saw this was 10, I was like, yeah, I want to hop all over Sacramento covering that tomorrow night.
I mean, Golden State's pretty banged up. You got Bazemore out too. I mean, that's a good matchup for the Kings. I love that bet.
So you have loved all three of my bets so far. I like it.
I love that one the best. I think that's the one I definitely think is money in the bank right there.
Even more so than the Phoenix one.
Even so more so than the Phoenix one.
I
So I'm going to ask you guys a question.
Sure, Chaz.
At what point do you say I don't care what they're given, they're the better team? Because double digits is so many points to cover, right? But if they're just the better team, then 10 points is 10 points. That's the price of having action.
It's the matchup. And it's what it boils down to. It's the matchup. It's what styles. I like to look at styles of the teams quite a bit, as far as especially if you're going to have a double-digit point, difference between the two. Is it because the team that they're playing against is high-powered offensively against a defensive-powered team that can't keep up if they hit a certain lull, or is it because of an injury to a player that doesn't actually affect their ability to score points? Is that the reason? Is this a team that can put up with the best of them even when they have a guy out, or even if they're not playing defense? The one thing that's been big this year is that for the most part, if you've been a double-digit point favorite, you haven't covered, because defense has been so horrendous this year for the NBA, and everyone's offense is able to click. That normally speaking, we're talking most of the time single digits, except for certain situations, of course, and like that. It's still the NBA. You're still gonna get have double.
Yeah, and they score so quickly. You're up by 18. You're up by 18. There's a minute and 6 seconds left. They clear the bench. You win by 9. It's amazing. I've seen it with my own eyes. You have 4 teams that are going to be the top 4 teams to ever score in history. Period in the NBA, and all 4 of them are going to be this year. And as far as total points go, it's absolutely insane right now. But when it comes to betting the over has been phenomenal so far this entire season. But these double-digit point favorites don't cover a lot. And in this situation, they're good. The Sacramento Golden State situation, they match up kind of evenly.
Yeah, I was going to say what Dan's talking about, and I also look for efficiency. Typically, when a more efficient team's favored, you can kind of ride that bet. So say they're playing Milwaukee, is a team that is going to score, has the bigs that can kind of attack the basket, and they're efficient with the ball. You can see how they can beat them by double digits. A team like Golden State turns the ball over a lot. They're kind of jump shooting team. So are the Kings. So that's a game where it's kind of a pick 'em in a lot of senses, where you're not sure who's the ball falling for. So it's not a game where Golden State should be.
They were on last night
by that much,
right? They were on last night. I don't know who they played, but oh my God, the shooting and the sloppiness was horrible. It was horrible. They were just ugly. Don't get me wrong. He still makes shots that a human shouldn't make. He was in the corner. They took it out to him. He was in the corner. They had 2 guys on him. He threw it across. This guy, and somehow he was back across from the 3, and he made a shot with 2 people in his face. It's just amazing what he does.
And the way he's been playing has been unreal. But even when he's been playing like this, where he's dropping 49 points a game in his nice stretch that he's been having here, again, we go back to they still haven't been blowing people out in the process. It's not leading to them, blowing people away.
No, I opened up while you were talking. I always look. So whenever you guys talk about Sunday, I just kind of glance ahead and I kind of, while you're talking, I'm looking at what you're saying, because I could see a lot of things. They show a lot of stats. So I'm looking at the stats, and of course the ones that jump out at me is that letter L next under the ATS. So they have what you did on the court and then the ATS. So when there's a lot of L's, yeah, I want nothing to do with you.
Well, let's see. I lie. I did have one more game. This one is, I wouldn't bet a lot on this game, but I have a good feeling about this game. And that's Portland-Memphis. Portland minus 3.5. It's in Portland. I have a good feeling about Portland winning this game and covering, because they have a lot on the line right now. They have to win this game, especially the way they've been playing as of lately. And now you're a few games in where everyone's kind of been back. McCollum's back. Nurkic's back. Lillard's back off of his hamstring injury. This is that type of game where Portland really needs to get a signature win to help them get into the playoffs. I think you're going to see a playoff caliber Damian Lillard. Unlike the last couple of games where someone kind of getting his way back, he hasn't been quite as sharp as he normally is. I think you're going to see a lot of emphasis on Portland to try to win this in a good matchup against Memphis here. I do think they cover at 3.5.
Chris?
I mean, I know they got Memphis is playing pretty well lately.
They have.
And they got Jackson back the other day. The big key for that game, I think, is that Valanciunas is still out. And as long as he's not playing, I do think you have a pretty good bet there. It's in Portland, you said?
It's in Portland.
Yeah, and I think that's a good bet. Over 3.
The defense opens up, especially with Nurkic and Cantor playing too.
It does, but I think the rebounds are key in that game.
I have to give you guys kudos, and I mentioned this to the two guys on my show too. The way you say those hockey names and those basketball names from the European countries, you say it like you're from that country. I could barely say it if I'm spelling it out phonetically. So I want to give you kudos.
Too, though.
Oh yeah, there's some names that trip us up from time to time, definitely. Especially hockey. Hockey, I feel like is even more. Maybe it's because I'm just more familiar with the NBA. I don't know, but hockey feels like is like in a whole other level.
Well, you got that Eastern European influence, much more in hockey, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to do it for today's show. Before we close out, again, make sure you guys are looking down in the comments section, wherever it is that you're watching this show right now, or if you're going to be listening to this tomorrow on your favorite streaming app, whether it be Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, all you got to do, go to @BellyUpFantasy. It'll be right up there in the profile. It's going to be pinned right to the top, and just click on the comments, click on the tournament link, the DC's DFS Challenge Tournament. If you win, if you beat one of the hosts, your name will be eligible for the April giveaway. This is the last week for the April giveaway for championshipfootballs.com by this man, Mr. Chaz Filardi. Talk about championshipfootballs.com real quick.
Well, what's the cutoff tomorrow?
The cutoff will be, you have to have your lineup in by 6:45 p.m. Eastern time.
So you got the Cleveland, Milwaukee, Pacers. You got 4 games.
Yeah, the 7, 8, and the 7s, the 8s, and the 10s.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We're getting close to the time of year where we're going to start doing some, because every year what we do is the winner. So if you go to championshipfootballs.com, you can see Alabama, you can see Tampa Bay, but we're going to start, and next week we're getting the order in for the Dallas Cowboy 5-time Super Bowl champions. And if you win one, you could pay money and get it signed by 2 Hall of Famers when we go to Houston, which I mentioned to you Thursday night.
You did. Yeah. That's another great little added tidbit. So make sure you guys are clicking and joining for that. Again, make sure you guys tune in Thursday night at 7:30. Chaz is going to be with us. Chris will be with us. We'll also be joined by Mike Brown, the co-founder of Belly Up Sports, will be on with us for the first half hour. We'll preview the draft upcoming, and then Chris and I will be on for the rest of the night. But we're going to give you some really great advice leading into that. We're also going to have a very special guest, Mr. Kenneth Giles, during that first half hour. He is the CEO of Symbol, so he's going to talk about that for a little bit as well, our new partners over there with Belly Up Sports. Chaz, talk about your sports betting show coming up, because I'm assuming as soon as you're done with us,
I get to talk about sports betting for an hour and a half. If the Lord takes me home that night, I'm not complaining. I'll tell you that right now. But I will also once through your show for those 2 days, I'll be going in the comments and giving out live plays as I see them. Because you know what? I'm not betting enough money where I'm changing the lines. The only thing is you got to move quick. So if it's 7:45 and I say I like the over in the game and the team total, whatever, and you go there at 7:55, yesterday had 3 winners, all were 35 minutes or less after I made the play.
Absolutely.
Can't beat that. That's pretty good. You could do craps, blackjack, but not sports bet. It's not. Oh, UFC, I guess, right? You could win a UFC bet in 30 minutes.
Yeah,
sure.
You could probably do that too. And the MD's Fantasy Football Show won't be this week. We'll be back the following week. We'll start recapping the draft from a fantasy football perspective. And the DC's DFS Challenge Show will also be back the following week, too. You can always follow us at BellyUpMDFF Show. And you can always check out Mr. Chaz here at Second Half Chaz on any of your social medias. Make sure you're following him as well, and Sports Betting Weekly. Chaz, as you always like to say,
always be cashing.
Always be cashing. We'll see you guys next Thursday.